a way of labelling something and therefore knowing it, or being conscious of it, and being conscious of it or knowing it is being in control of it. That's the belief. It's a fantasy. But the belief for the me is that it has to gain knowledge, it has to know everything, in order that it can be in control. By knowing something, then you can, to some extent, control what it is. I call that thing out there that's green a tree, then somehow I now have ownership of it in some sense. It's the me's need to be safe. And by knowing the tree, I know I am a person. It's a sort of feeding system that goes on in that fantasy. It's a fantasy feeding system that goes on.
You can separate yourself from it.
By being aware of the tree, awareness, knowing, being conscious of the tree, I then maintain the consciousness of me, self-consciousness. I'm still alive, I'm still continuing.
But actually the opposite is true, because in the naming, the me completely disappears.
Oh, right. For that, there.
Yeah, if I say this is the mic, the sense of me is completely evaporated.
Oh, right, that's interesting. I've never heard of that before. So that's what's happening there.
Tony. I remember this tremendous attraction of trying to know, to understand this. How does this arise? And it's really hard to drop it. And I think it's totally only if this contraction is there.
As far as I'm concerned, the me can't drop it. It's not hard. It's impossible, because the nature of me is to know it.
To know it, yeah. And it's gone if this becomes white, and if there is nobody.
Oh yes, of course. But of course, one of the teachings that surrounding these is very attractive, is self-inquiry, which is about dropping in ignorance and gaining supreme knowledge, and that's a way in which, again, knowing or awareness is knowing, is developed and strengthened. It's another self-protection.
Yeah, not only self-inquiring, but why this? How does this arise?
Who is it that's doing that, and why is it? It's just another process to keep the me safe. It's you.
It's me.
It's you. It's me.
You mentioned before that objects are solid for me's. Yeah. How do you when you look at us, or that looks here, is it solid, or is everything's floating?
Floating. Well, it's not sort of literally.
No, but
except after a couple of gins. But it's very apparent that that is real and unreal.
What makes it apparent?
Oh, nothing. Oh, no. It isn't apparent to anyone. But in order to answer the question, what I'm saying is that it's absolutely obvious that that is real and unreal. It is and it isn't. It's not solid.
So there are particles.
Oh, I don't know. You can't. No, you can't say that this sees moving particles.
Okay.
Because that's another experience that will be happening to someone. Again, we're back to this thing that it can't be described. That's why when the me is there and then it suddenly isn't, the whole thing shifts. It's like the whole thing is like the me sees it, and then there's a shift, a very sort of, and then suddenly everything is God. Suddenly everything is what it really is, just no thing being. It's stunning. It's stunning. And yet it's very simple and obvious.